Puja Kumariji, can we start? You want to start recording the event? Video record? Yeah, we need to record the event. Camera on.
First of all, hello and namaste everyone. Welcome to the weekly Hindu Heritage Special Topics for Summer Study. I am Pooja Kumari, your host for this program. On behalf of the Hindu Heritage Foundation of America, thank you everyone for joining today. We are thrilled to have Dr. Bala Aiyer ji as an esteemed medical doctor, a veteran Hindu community leader, and an accomplished author of Hinduism books. As our special guest, Dr. Ayer's main aim is to spread the knowledge of Hindu Dharma all over the world with simple English words and all the aspects of Hindu Dharma explained together. He has a remarkable history of working for community development, and he is dedicated to educating and sharing the teachings of Hinduism through his books. So let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Bala Aiyer ji. We are looking forward to your session. Namaste, Dr. Bala Aiyer ji. Now you can start your session.
Namaste, namaste ji. Today's talk is very basic, and most of you already know what I'm going to talk about and what is nothing new. But the idea is to wake up our thoughts so that we'll be ready to teach the next generation. Each one of us can become a teacher. That's the idea behind. The greatest heritage of Hindu religion is as old as creation and as modern as tomorrow. And the creator, we all know, believe, is not living in a distant heaven, but is inherent in all of us. He's inside us. The creator is inside us, who's growing. That is the basic teaching of Hindu religion. And every one of us, we have a part of this creator inside us. It's not advancing. So we all look at the heavens, empty space, which is formless. There's no way we can look at the sky every day in empty space to do the worship. That is the reason we created the various forms to worship. So we see that one creator, one Brahman, who is worshipped in many forms. That is a basic understanding of Hindu religion. Once we understand that, everything becomes easy to go further. Let's start with the prayer to Ganesha, the one who removes all the obstacles and strengthens our thoughts. Mushika Vahana Modahasta, Samana Karana Vilambita Sutra, Vamana Rupa Maheshwar Putra, Vigna Vinayaka Pada Namaste, Vakradunda Mahakaya Surya Kodi Samaprabha, Avignam Kurumo Deva, Kurume Deva, Sarvakaryesha Sarvada. Sikanto Madulo Yasya Janani Sarvamangala, Janakaka Sankaro Devaha Tammande Kunjarananam. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahman, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvina Vadidamastuma, Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So today's talk is introduction on the Hindu Dharma, just a basic few ideas how each one is able to understand or take what is being taught. Then subsequently, the next 9 weeks, we'll have the 9 lessons, including the 4 kinds of yoga. I'm writing the entire my speech on the screen so that you can follow, even though if you cannot listen to me properly or listen to my understanding. That's the idea behind. The introduction to Hindu Dharma explains this is a simple set of lessons on Hindu Dharma for spiritual realization, analyzing the long search for the realization of the truths. So Hindus do not really go to God, but we are realizing what is the truth, what is God. That's realization. That is the most important part of the Hindus in their struggle, in their study. There are 3 levels of understanding the truth. There are 4 paths for spiritual discipline to follow, and the paths for the rituals, prayers, meditation, study are to understand the Supreme, which is the energy and matter of the universe. That is Purusha and Shakti. This is an introduction overview of the basic traditions of Hindu tradition, Dharma, especially focusing on the youth. So our next generation members and the parents to have a better understanding of the basic principles of Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma or Sanatana Hindu Dharma is a basic name. It is not named as Hinduism. It is not named as a religion. It's not a religion. It is a way of life. So we're going to look for the search, a long search for the realization of truth. That is our study for this 10 weeks. There are 3 levels of understanding the truth that we are going to see today. There are 4 parts of the spiritual discipline that we are going to talk about during these 10 weeks, with the basic idea that the Supreme Divinity is the energy and matter of the universe. It's not one person standing in a distant heaven. So the paths of ritual, prayers, meditation, study are the most important. The introduction overview of the basic tradition of the Hindu Dharma goes on the 3 levels of understanding, especially focusing on the youth, so our next generation members can better understand Sanatana Dharma. That gives the introduction. Let's start where? Let's go back to history, how it all started. In the most ancient times of human civilization, when people were attacked by fear of wild beasts and furies of nature, they are looking for some protection. Oh God, save me. That is a thought they get. So many faiths evolved during these times, and many leaders also evolved at the same time. While some were looking at several leaders to be worshipped, some were looking at a distant, formless force for protection. The Hindu thoughts in ancient Indian land looked at the mass of the earth, the space and the energy within them as a main power that is controlling all the creations. While they recognized that it is not possible to worship an unknown force, they give a mass and energy as a form to worship for the various needs. So when they all worship, they also worship the force and energy behind various natural elements. Because when the sunlight hits you, when it's hot, very hot summer, you know the sun has got an energy there. And the sun is an object with a mass. So that controls them, and they started praying to them during their calamities to be kind to the people and to protect the community. And that's how it all started. So when you look at the space, as the planets move, there's an incredible sound that comes that's called Omkara. Our sages heard this and made Omkara as the energy that is God. And Rigveda says, may noble thoughts come to us from every direction. So we don't go to one direction, one book, one word, but get all the words from all the sages and collect them together. So we started looking at God in various forms and various shapes, one for the creator, one for the protector, one for the dissolver, one to give you the strength, one to give you the education, and one to give you the wealth, and one to protect us all. That's how it started. So there are 3 gunas of nature to understand the Supreme. Who do we worship and whom do we worship is the main question that we are going to deal with. Realization of Supreme Brahman as one everywhere, and the 4 paths of spiritual discipline that we get for realization. What are the 4 paths? There's a force of our action. There is the karma path, the Vedic rituals that we need to perform. There's the devotional prayer and bhakti path in Bhakti Yoga. Meditation, dhyana, your asanas, exercise, physical discipline. The knowledge path for wisdom, learning, and studies. All these things, if you do with the understanding that you're going to get you something great, some profit out of it, it's no good. You leave that profit to God, to the entity above us, then it becomes a yoga. So that's what it's all about. The ancient community, every civilization, every community, and every family, there were some questions all the time about spirituality. Then the question comes, every one of us, you, me, and everyone else. Why do we pray? How do you pray? Whom do we pray? Is there a God? The basic question comes to everybody's mind anytime. Is there one God? Are there many gods? What is that God? Who is that God? Where is that God? So these are the questions that goes to our mind, and we need to analyze and try to get an answer. Some people get it, some people don't get it. Ever since human beings organized as a group or society, even in primitive cultures, the civilized groups were searching for answers to many questions about human life and those of animals and plants. They see that our existence is a gift from nature. Yes, we cannot exist if there is no nature. So many were frightened by the furies of nature, like cold, ice, heavy rains, hot climates, and many such things. They started praying to the nature. This is how it all started. So the question is, oh God, it's too hot. What do I do? Next day it rains. Oh my God, there is rain always. What do I do? The winter comes cold, I'm shivering. What do I do? So like that, every furies of the nature causes that prayer. So we look for a leader who will protect us from all this. Every group of community, there was always some people who had the leadership qualities with physical and mental strength. They were able to control the community of the followers with their dogmatic rules. Those who did not obey such rules were rejected by the group. So they moved out away, or they got destroyed in the struggle. The main question in everyone's mind is, if there's really a superior power, is there a supreme force that controls everything? Is there one that controls? So the leader were able to establish the dogmatic rules. Follow my thought, otherwise you are not there. So the leaders gave them their own answers to the question. They control the community with this message. And every leader in the group taught some form of rituals and prayers that they had to do to keep the community obeying them. So far I was sounding like an atheist. So that's how it all started. These were the spiritual discipline to appease the gods. They prayed to God in any form and in many form and in every form to show mercy on them and to protect and support the families. Then some of these leaders, self-made leaders, became very powerful among the community, assuming the role of God. I am God, worship me only. And then there were also some independent thinkers who were analyzing facts and objecting to this leadership. They looked for the powers of intuitive knowledge in their search through meditation. Then the supreme power always manifests to establish the rule of Dharma, to destroy the evil force. So that's why in the Purana stories, I don't have to explain, you all know, that's how the Purana stories come to establish the Dharma is more important. That's why Puranas become very important. So people looking at the space, the universe, where are we? We are a little spot somewhere in the whole universe. So the pranava mantra Om comes to our rescue. That is a sound that is allowed when the planets move around fast. What is Om? There's an Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, explains about Omkara. I don't want to go into all the Sanskrit words here. There are 3 curves in the Om. It is not an alphabet in Sanskrit language. It's not Devanagari. It is a symbol. Om is a symbol. In Devanagari, you write Om, it comes in a different way. There's 3 circles. One is wakefulness, the second is dreaming, and third is deep sleep. All these times we try to reach the Surya or the absolute God. But this is hidden by Maya, which covers. So that is how the Om symbol comes in, Pranava mantra. So in the space, we are looking at Omkara. We also started worshipping God in various forms and shapes. Geometrical designs are drawn to worship that unknown force or unseen force, formless God. Instead of looking at an empty space. So that is called the Sri Chakra. Then we started putting linga, a form, a shape, a stone. And here, I want to alert you, a lot of people translated this, especially from the Western authors. Every pot and every pillar looks at a genital organ for them. So they said this is phallic worshipping. It's not. It's just a symbolic worship of a little stone. They look at a stone, they worship. They put a turmeric cone, they worship it. They put a cone in a rice, they worship it. So that's why if any form in front of you, that's called a linga. From there, then we advance to village deities, as I already seen. A village god. Then there are the forms of manifest forms of Brahman, the creator, the protector, the dissolver, and the energy behind all the 3 forces. So the creator needs energy of knowledge to produce. The protector needs energy of wealth to protect. The dissolver needs energy or power to destroy. So that's why you get Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Parvati Devi. Then we see that one God with multiple face, multiple hand is expressed to show the all-powerful very well. Here, you have to imagine, this is not a freak look. Multiple heads and multiple hands are just the artistic expression of multitasking job. Just like your computer can do multitasking, same way, they can do simultaneously several things. That's how it is expressed. So don't imagine a child with the 20 hands or 30 heads. No, it's not. It just shows it's a multiple action at the same time. They can look around the same time. They can do certain jobs at the same time. That's how it shows. Many such manifest forms came during the ages, several thousand years. Many of our intelligent leaders were able to receive some divine message as the truth about ourselves through their intuitive wisdom and deep meditation. That's how the 4 Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samveda, Atharva Veda, 4 Vedas were written because they received the knowledge from God. While these messages were contested by some other people, like a Buddhist and atheists, they said, no, it's not given by God, it was created by the sages. Then atheists are not denial God, but they say they did not produce the word, it was produced by the sages. That's all the difference. But many of us, many others blindly accepted their wisdom and the truth of the message because you cannot think too much, accept it. First you accept it, just like a child, you tell this child, this is the food you eat. That's all. So that's how it started. These teachings were complicated, unintelligible for most people who ended up showing their respect to their leaders with a blind worship to the Supreme because of complicated worship. Like the ancient Egyptian civilization told the people. That's the way it is said. And that's the way it is done. That's how. So you don't understand, you just follow the rules first. This is the start of the rituals and prayers in the community as a faith of fear, apprehension. Fear is not running away. Fear is you are a jittery. You don't know what's going to happen. With the rules given to them as a dogma. This is what we call a spiritual discipline or Muda Bhakti. The ancient communities in the Indian subcontinent also started similarly. So far I was telling you so around the world. Now let's come to India, our Hindu community. The ancient communities, they started similarly. The faith and tradition as a community of Hindu Dharma. This is what we call Sanatana Dharma. So who calls this a name? There's no name for this tradition because it's been there for 100,000 years, 10,000 years. We don't know. There is no name at the time because there is nothing, a second one to. That's why it is named as Sanatana Dharma, living a way of life for living all the time. The very early period of the settlements as agricultural group, they settle around these river banks. There are agricultural group. There are well-organized teachers. There are priests, ruling kings, soldiers, businessmen, and field workers. That's how the community is divided. They were all working together to establish a civilization based on the divine law. That's Dharma. And this divine law is followed with a devotion or fear called Bhaya Bhakti. It starts as a Muda Bhakti or a Bhaya Bhakti, blind worship. There is devotion with ignorance or with fear, and with then devotion as a spiritual discipline. As part of their practice, they had organized well with the scientific studies of the universe along with the path of well-balanced philosophical discussion. So there was a philosophical discussion among the educated ones, others followed it blindly. They also had theological teachings of a God and what it is and all those Purana stories, and a solid base of philosophy for the practice of the Sunnah. So there's a philosophical discussion, theology and the philosophy going together here. The Hindu community had organized devotional prayers and rituals to all-powerful Supreme Divine Paramatma. So here we are not calling it God, we are not calling it any other name. We call it Paramatma, one who is present everywhere. Supreme. Also, we worship the subordinate divinities. They protect the individuals of the community. It is like not only worshipping the God, but also the soldiers. Thus, everyone was practicing the orthodox form of the spiritual search for the supreme truth. So that is the action that we are taking, search for the supreme truth. They are doing these offerings with the Vedic rituals as well as with devotional prayers. Those are the two main forms in which they are doing it. For the most ancient times, there were several prayer services to Grama Devata or village deities. So most religions, they worshipped only a Grama Devata, a village leader of the present time or village leader of the past, a warlord, a god who will fight for you. Then they had several manifest forms of the Supreme Paramatma, and also called Upadevatas. We were also prescribed several rituals that was followed in practice of the Veda teachings and rituals and devotional prayers to the natural elements like fire, water, and also to several manifest forms of God. So if the fire is hitting you too hard, you are afraid, something is burning, you worship the fire to leave you alone. Hindu traditions are maintained through the teachings of our gurus. So that is how we go for that. Several thousand years we have been doing that, and they are followed by Hindu devotees with different levels of understanding. So as we search for the realization, there are varying traditions and varying practices, along with the studies, meditation, concentration. So there are several teachings which are not contradictory but complementary to each other. So various segments of society of different family traditions and customs amalgamated since ancient times into one solid form of religious faith that we call Sanatana Dharma. About 25,000 years back, they said worship of Shiva as a linga or iconic worship started, and there are several groups which are worshipping iconic groups, several groups which are called Bhagavatas, who are just reciting prayers, bhajans, and there are groups which are doing rituals. So it was King Vaivasvata, 12,000 years back, accommodated all of them together into one. That is called the Sanatana Dharma. That's where it started. Then later on, other modifications of these teachings happen, and each one accepted others who follow other alternate forms of religious practice as a simple alternate path to the same goal, while they stayed with their own tradition practice. So that is the beauty of Hindu religion. Even though you differ in your thinking from the other one, you don't stab each other, but you say, hey, that's your way of living, this is my way. They work together. That's the beauty of the Hindu religion, because you accept each one. Of course, there are some controversies come because your ego and self-protection, your own idea of making money may involve facing I'm better than him kind of thing comes. But ultimately, they all work together. So all these paths, as accepted, are based on one's own mental capacity, personal interest, and understanding. So the variation comes because of your own thought process, how you think about it. This presentation today and the next 9 weeks is to explain all these rituals and devotional prayers, and also the understanding of the principles behind those routines, just as a simple practice of discipline to follow. And it's good to get an understanding of this basic meaning behind the rituals and prayers, routines of the devotional path. That's why I always recommend, if you are one who is following the Advaita teaching of Shankara, it is better for you to understand the teachings of Dvaita of Madhva or Visishtadvaita of Ramanuja or the other acharyas. Read a little bit of all the acharyas, their teachings, and form your own opinion. So each Hindu, you have a God living inside you, and you form your own thoughts. You don't get carried away by somebody who's preaching you. One question in every mind. Why do we worship the Supreme Bhagavan in various forms and shapes, like humans and animals and plants? If God is formless, He is inside you, why do you worship Him in a form in front of you? Well, we all agree God created man in His own image. Many religions of the world, they say God created the humans in His own image. Yes, but God also created the woman, the children in His own image. God created all animals and plants in His own image. God created the universe and all stars and planets too in His own image. So you put it in reverse order, so you see the image and you see God there. That's all to it. So we see God in all these forms in their images. So we believe that God lives in the inner soul of Atma, inside every one of us, His own creations. And the multiple heads and multiple hands, as I already told you, the multiple heads and multiple shown are artistic expression of the multitasking. So we see God as a creator. And here I want to show you, of all the various forms, dance. You see the creator in the image. A person has to dance to show himself or herself and to show his creation. They cannot get aside. So the creator is inherent in all the creations. That's all the essence of our teaching. Hindu traditions express the three gunas of individuals as tamasika, rajasika, and sattvika. Those are the three we are going to talk about today. This is based on a personal spiritual development of each individual, their knowledge, interest, understanding of the teaching, and following the traditions. Tamasika is a stage. Some people, you may hear, say, oh, Tamasika is bad and low. No, it's not. He has not studied, he has not learned anything, so he just accepts what you say. Just like the children in your house, you tell them, hey, put your plate there. He'll put the food there. Eat. Like that. You teach them to say.
So it doesn't study. At that level, he's not so sure. He remains an agnostic. Sometimes they just believe what you're saying with a fear without understanding. It becomes called a moda bhakti or blind devotion. Sometimes they don't accept what you're taught because they don't want to read, they don't want to listen to you. Then they have no belief in God, and that reaches to atheism. Then they go evolve a little more higher than that. They start learning. When they start learning a little more, they can even de-learn also. So they back and forth go. Ultimately, they start learning really the spiritual discipline, what is said in the book. Then slowly they evolve. Then they get to the apprehension with fear. They get a bhakti, devotion with fear, but apprehension, not fear of running away. So once the learning completes, they evolve more with what's called Rajasika Bhakti, or Bhakti with all the grandeur. Otherwise, you can go Sattvika Bhakti, that we'll talk about later. So Tamasika Guna, it starts at the denial, disinterest to learn, lethargy, do not accept the teachings of ignorance, disbelief, and faith in no God. So they become Nastikas. Then there is a Tamasika, a blind faith, Moda Bhakti. They don't understand, they don't learn, but they just want to listen to you. Just sheer obedience. Inexperience, willing to learn, insecurity, just accept the teachings as it is told. There is some apprehension because they want to hear from you. Superstition comes into play. Acceptance comes into play. Then they do what's called blind devotion or a Moda Bhakti. Okay, you are telling me, let me worship. Then they evolve from that to what's called Tamasika Guna of Bhaya Bhakti. There's understanding what you're told, learning, experience, respect, belief in teachings, gratitude, fear and apprehension, devotion with discipline. That leads to what's called Bhaya Bhakti. From there they evolve, as I already showed you in the picture. Rajasika Guna is Ananya Bhakti. There's some knowledge, they worship on a grand scale, they have interest in learning. Study of Itihasas, Puranas, and various stories to get the understanding about God's images. Desire to elaborate rituals, they want to show off there. And then the devotion to one manifest form for all. So they want to concentrate on one form, either Rama, or Krishna, Shiva, Shakti, one form. That's Ananya Bhakti, one, not another. From there, they evolve higher to Sattvika Guna. They see one God in many forms, Ekanda Bhakti. Here, in Ekanda Bhakti, it doesn't mean that you see the Supreme God as formless. No. You see Rama and Krishna. You see Krishna in Shiva. You see Shiva in Vishnu. You worship Shiva, but if you have a Vishnu statue, even then you worship because Shiva is there inside worship. So you feel that God is in every form, and you see your God in that form. It's an Ananya Bhakti in another way. There's a true knowledge of the Supreme, understands that Paramatma is an all avatara, accepts all prayers to the manifest form of one Ishvara. Even if you worship Shakti, it goes to Shiva. Even if you worship Shiva, it goes to Vishnu. Studies Vedanta and able to meditate on the immanent form of Bhagavan, and also offer prayers to the transcendent manifestation of forms. So you need to understand the term immanent and transcendent here. So this is called Ekanda Bhakti. So Ekanda Bhakti means you see one God in many forms. So what is it about? So again, you read Bhagavad Gita to understand all this. Every sloka of Bhagavad Gita is important. So I'll give you some samples here and there for you. Bhagavan said, thou hast a right to action and work alone, never to its fruits. Let not the fruits of work be the motive. Let not the attachment to inaction. So that means you just because praying is not for attachment to God. Say, I'm going to pray, I'm going to pass this exam, I'm going to pray, then I'm going to get my food. No. You pray because that's your duty. God will make sure that you get what is needed for you. It's like a mother, or not only human, but even animals. The mother wants to feed the child, whether the child wants it or not, timely. That they have an eager to feed the child. That is in God's action. So to those men who worship me alone, think of no other. To those who ever self-controlled, I secure, which is already possessed, that's yoga, and what they preserve, what they already possess. So yoga kshema, that is the main thing. Yeah. While knowledge and discipline are very important, we need to understand that the practice of the teachings with the spiritual discipline is also very essential. So it's not only knowledge, but also you need to practice and you need to preach. It's very important. So that's the karma yoga part of the Vedic rituals, and the bhakti yoga part of the devotional prayers are also equally relevant to the effective inner seeing the supreme truth with our daily practice for everyone with enough spiritual discipline. So karma yoga, doing a karma, doing nitya karma is not a blind ritual. It is essential part. Same way, your bhakti song, singing every day in the morning, evening, couple of prayers, is very essential part of our living. This may appear blind tradition to many, but the common man, for most Hindus, understands the goal of realization through these paths and is fully satisfied. Sometimes we call this as Muda Bhakti or blind rituals. In reality, it is not blind path, it is not a dogma, but a spiritual discipline to understand, and this is well explained in our religious texts. I served in the army, and that's where they teach us. The first thing they teach is not to fight a war, not to treat a patient in the war, but to stand in attention and salute with a stiff back. We salute to the commander, and we walk in a parade and come salute in front of him. One. Every day in the afternoon, evening, they ask you to do physical exercise, lifting weights. And are they doing any job? Yes. They strengthen your muscles. So they strengthen your mind, strengthen muscles. So physical discipline and mental discipline is very important in the practice of any kind of work. Same way, soldiers can salute in the commander while walking in the parade. It comes from an ancient tradition. The same tradition is now followed as saluting when meeting superior officer. How did the salute come? Ancient times, the soldiers were having a face mask. So when they march on the horse in front of the king or the leader, they lift their face mask up like this to show their face, because all of them look alike. So they show their face. That is how that happened, the salute came. So even though they don't wear a face mask, they do like this. See, that's how the tradition comes. We keep the tradition. That's important. In Hinduism, you keep the tradition. Don't question them. The ritualistic tradition gives the same strength and discipline to fight and kill the enemy when the commander orders so. So he's doing that rituals. He's like, hey, go and kill those 100 people today in the front line. They will do it. They don't question whether, like Arjuna questioned Krishna, I'm killing my own brother, my own cousins, my own teachers. Is that good? That's what Bhagavad Gita starts, the very first chapter. So that is a discipline. You are protected this way, you are produced this way, you do it, even if killing is bad, kill it for the security of the community. This ritual tradition of the Muda Bhakti is the Tamasika path, gives them the strength and discipline in our prayers to supreme with concentration. So Tamasika is not bad at all. It's very important. Tamasika Bhakti. You just do as you are told. Then comes the Rajasika Guna. As I already saw, Rajasika is to get the understanding of the Supreme as a controller of this universe and all the creations, but able to visualize in one form or other. So we do it, we enjoy life as we are doing it. That's Rajasika Guna. You enjoy life, you do everything great. You see a lot of streets there, a lot of flowers there, a lot of fragrance, a lot of music. You enjoy the life and get God's image inside you. So they get primarily attached to that one manifest forms to offer all their prayers. So they concentrate on one image of only Rama, only on Krishna, only on Shiva, only one form, only on Ayyappa, like that. It goes. That's Ananya Bhakti. As they evolve slowly and gradually, you'll see higher level of understanding will be there for Sattvika. Sattvika is a higher level of understanding. It's nothing bad, nothing good. They see the supreme divine, normal evolution in their chosen manifest form for all their prayers, even though the image is that of Kali. You see Shiva coming there and standing along with Kali. That is Ekanta Bhakti. The Orthodox Hindu has the knowledge of the Vedas and Dharma Shastra that has reasonable realization of the Supreme. They offer prayers to the Paramatma in several manifest forms, and even a Sattvika, they also need to have the Bhaya Bhakti to have the spiritual discipline. So I am a Sattvika. No, yeah, but still you need the Bhaya Bhakti of a spiritual discipline. Blind worship is needed. So just because you have been promoted as a major or a colonel, you have to still stand in attention, salute, and parade in front of the king. They recite the prayers and perform all the Vedic rituals like a tamasika, blindly following the rules. So this is called apara bhakti. So just because you're Sattvika doesn't mean that you have to stop praying. You have to do that. That is apara bhakti with a blind tradition of. So this is the spiritual discipline of Sanatana Dharma for all of us. The learned or unlearned and non-learned do the same. Most scholarly Orthodox Hindus who have knowledge of the Vedas, including Vedanta and Dharma Shastra, has a reasonable realization of the Supreme. Once they get this realization, they acquire the state of a parabhakti. Parabhakti is, so far we have seen only aparabhakti, now comes parabhakti, is one stage beyond. The well-educated devotee of a Sattvika also needs the Bhaya Bhakti, the strict discipline by performing all the rules of the Tamasika. So even if he becomes a Parabhakti, he'll do that. What is Parabhakti? Is you see God as a formless state, even though you have a Vigraha or an icon in front of you to worship. That is Aparabhakti, the Parabhakti. So they also need the mental conditioning through the practice of asanas and dhyana, meditation of a Raja Yoga. So from Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga, we are going on to Raja Yoga, that is practicing the asana and dhyana to physical conditioning and mental conditioning. So asanas are the physical conditioning, dhyana is the mental conditioning. So you condition the mind to strictly follow the rules. This is to emphasize that even the knowledgeable person following the Sattvika path, practicing Ekanta Bhakti, essential to have some Ananya Bhakti of a Rajasika and also the blind devotional worship rituals of a Tamasika Bhaya Bhakti. All these three go together. Well, the Tamasika path is a simple practice without questioning or understanding, but following the devotion with fear or apprehension. It is also expected to be followed by everyone to practice the Dharma with worship practice, because with the proper spiritual discipline. So don't ever call a Tamasika Bhakti as a idiotic practice. It is not. It is a disciplined way of doing it. This is a path even for the well-educated Sattvika devotees as part of the spiritual discipline for the daily practice of rituals. Once we understand the rituals of the path, it will not be a blind devotion anymore. Once you understand it, it's not a Muda Bhakti. It just becomes a spiritual discipline, Bhaya Bhakti. That means devotion with an apprehension. So the question whether the three gunas always occur, one for each person, or if everyone can get any of the three at a given time. Bhagavan Sri Krishna says that these gunas act at different times. Each one of them becoming powerful at any one point of time. At a given time, human personality works under the influence of one predominant guna, when the other two gunas get subdued, but not totally absent. I wanted to get you a quotation from Bhagavad Gita, but I was not able to. because it comes in 8 or 9 different slokas. That's not enough time or sloka to read all that. So go ahead and read the chapter 14 of Bhagavad Gita about this one thing, about the 3 gunas. It's very important. Thus, Sattvika guna, or sattva, predominates over rajas and tamas. It produces on the mind its own nature of happiness and knowledge. Whereas rajas predominates in it produces passion, desire, attachment, and action. But when tamas or tamasika guna is prominent, it shouts the discrimination and makes the mind unaware of its nobler duties, but still you want to just accept what is told to you. So the long search of the realization is Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamegam Saranam Braja. Very important sloka in Bhagavad Gita. Do not depend on the sloka, on the articles of faith or rules of observance of your dharma. Don't even have to read any dharma, but just surrender yourself completely to me, the all-powerful Supreme God. God has told me I'm doing it. Take refuge in me alone. Take refuge in me alone. There is nobody else to take refuge. Then I shall absolve all your sins. I'll protect you. Worry not. There are 2 slokas in Bhagavad Gita. He says, worry not. And this is one of them. Once in chapter 2, he says, worry not. Don't do it. I'll do it. So the Upanishads explain the grand truth about the Supreme God. He explains God as truth, Sat or Satyam. At the same time, it allows enough freedom for the prayers to subordinate divinities or Upadevatas, demigod. You worship only God? No, you worship the subordinates. You can't go to see the king or the president all the time for all your acts. You have to see a secretary, you have to see a soldier, a commander, everybody else to get your job done. So you go to Upadevatas also. So that's how prayers to Upadevatas also come. Most of our prayers are only directed through a manifestation of God or one of the Upadevatas. Almost all the Vedic prayers in the 4 Vedas are not towards God. It's due to one of the Shaktis, one of the Upadevatas. It's usually about Agni and Suryadeva. The study also deals and compares with various groups in their approach to this reality. So we worship not only the Upadevata, but also the manifest forms of God. We cannot worship the formless God. You cannot worship or see the formless God because he has no form or shape. So you give it a form, you give it a shape, and worship in that way. So when you want to get money, you worship your father. You ask your father. When you want food, you worship your mother. You ask your mother to food. Like that. So what you need, you worship. But again, you worship not for asking for food, but as your routine. So every day you show your love to your father, you show your love to your mother, they take care of you. So it has a comparative look at other world religious group and their thoughts that are quite comparable. We can compare other religions also a little bit. So comparing various traditions and faiths showing similarities and differences, it is not intended to suggest any one path is superior to one or inferior to one. Don't even ever think that your form or your form of worship is any superior or any inferior to another form. It is his way of form, is mine. When I'm going by bicycle, that's good for me. If I'm going by a taxi, car, it's my way of living. If I'm traveling by a ship, that's my way of traveling. You cannot compare. Just because you got a plane, you cannot travel from your house to downtown in a plane. You have to use the proper vehicle. So these are just seen as variations in thinking at various times and beliefs in different cultures and traditions from ancient times. So we respect each other. That's the reason Hinduism always respects other faiths. So how do you worship? There are 4 types of virtuous men who worship me, Arjuna. Gita says. 1, the man in distress. We all do that. 2, the seekers of knowledge. Just before exam, the guy will go to the Ganesh temple and go around 108 times. 3, the seekers of enjoyment. You want comfort food. You want comfort. You want God, give me this. God, give me that. God, give me food. Give me clothes. And 4, those who endowed wisdom, God, you have given me everything. All that is your blessings, nothing more. I thank you for that. So you go and understand. God has given to you everything that you needed. You give him your respects. And he is the one who is best among the Bharatas. So that's how it goes. That's a very important sloka again in Bhagavad Gita. A series of studies analyzing the truth about spiritual realization through different methods of rituals and karma yoga and devotional paths of bhakti yoga are discussed to get a better understanding. You'll hear more about it in the subsequent lectures in the next 9 weeks. We also have teachings on meditation and Raja Yoga and Jnana Yoga that I'll talk about the last 4 classes. When we study the religion and philosophy, sometimes we may get confused with conflicting statements. One will say worship, one will say don't worship, do meditation. No, they're not doing. They are giving 2 aspects. So it's always good to get the teachings, to get your conflicts resolved through a proper guru or teacher. So if you have a guru or a teacher, either on the computer or in person, it's better for you to get it done, because these days you can get answers for all your questions. So most of the devotees are qualified to learn this. Most of the devotees are quite satisfied with their practice in Bhakti Yoga. Most of the devotees, they do karma path, are quite happy with that. And those who are following the Raja Yoga with meditation, they get that mental and physical strength to study that, and they are considered equally superior for those in this guna, so Raja Gora. Then there are those who study the Vedanta, the Vedas, Upanishads, philosophy, and understand the meaning behind, not blindly reciting a sloka or Rigveda, Agnimela, Purohitam, Yagnas. You understand what it means. Sometimes you understand Sanskrit, sometimes you don't understand Sanskrit. You have to learn the meaning. So that is Jnana Yoga. It is considered by some a superior path, but they are not. They're all paths, devotion, studying, understanding, questioning, practicing. All this is a part and parcel of the same path. So it's called Smaranam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Those are the 3 paths they show you. So many traditions and many paths, many rituals we talk about, many philosophies and many gods we talk about. Is the path important or is the goal important? Some say the goal is important. Some say the path doesn't matter. Well, if you miss the path, if you don't have a path, you don't know how to reach the goal. So path is also very important. So you take the proper path, you reach the goal. The 4 paths that we are going to talk about the coming months, the coming weeks, it's very important. They're not contradictory, but just complementary to one another. The teachings of Hindu religion, there are no different paths to one goal. They are just different lanes in one path to realize the Supreme. There are different lanes in the same path. You go on the left lane, you go faster. You go on the right lane, you go slower. Or the other way, in the eastern countries, you go on the right lane, you go fast. Left lane, you go slower. So reach the Supreme in one of the paths, all the 4 are the same. So the 2 paths that are common in practice that we daily use all the time is Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Here we perform the rituals as prescribed in Karma Kanda or Nitya Karma rituals. Then we have lots of books to study. We'll perform more rituals as directed by the priests. The devotional path of Bhakti Yoga is full of recitation, musical prayers. You learn about this. You need to learn Sanskrit language a little bit, be familiar with it. When you study the Agamas, Etikas, and Puranas, you get more bhakti. That's what it says. And you need an explanation given by the Acharyas and Gurus, because all the texts in Sanskrit are very concise and very short, and you need to have somebody to explain to you. It's very important. So we're coming to the close. We see here Meenakshi Kalyanam. This is to show how all the 4 paths are together. You have the path from a Smartha, you have the path from a Vaishnava, you have a path from a Shakti, you have a path from the Shiva, all those things go together. That's Meenakshi Kalyanam. So Hindu philosophy explains the Meenakshi Kalyanam picture very nicely. So what are we going to see next week? Hindu Dharma is practiced with various ways of prayer, rituals, meditation, study, and teaching. Among these paths, samskara rituals of karma yoga and teaching the Vedas and bhakti yoga are very important. These need to be done with a total faith, discipline, Raja Yoga. We're going to see a little bit of everything next time also. It's a concise one of all the paths. So ultimately, Saranagati is the ultimate. So let me give some concluding prayers before I explain myself, my own publicity. Asatoma Sargamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityoma Mrityamaya, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Pradarini Upakani. Kavenamacha Manasendriyarva, Buddhyatmana Para, Prakadeswa Bhava, Karoma Yajat Sakalam Parasmai, Sri Narayanayati Samarpayami. It all started when I wrote a book in 1996 to teach the children in our temple, Meenakshi Temple for the Youth. Then I took it to India to get it printed, about 100 copies for distribution here. They suggested I'll publish it as a book there. That's why I ended up publishing a book called Principal Practice of Hindu Religion by Bharati Vidyabhavan in 1998. 97, I gave it to them, and 98 it was published out. The 108 lessons, 200 pages, is still available with Bharati Vidyabhavan. Then I thought I should enlarge that and entered some more books on that and through Amazon that contained a basic introduction. And also there was a book on health. Why health along the way? Because it's not health, it's a spiritual discipline, essential lifestyle changes for Hindu, for the life, for better body, better mind, and better spiritual development. So we have to study as we grow older, we have to study more and more to get that improvement. That's why we ended up 6 books on Hindu religion on Amazon. That's what I'm going to talk a little bit today. This is my publicity, because the talk is about my books that should go to every one of you to study. So we have the basic books on 108 pages, and we have a little bit every time I'll talk about one book each time. And these 6 books are very important for Hindu study program. So they come both as e-books that you can read it on computer. Amazon charges you very, very little money, like $5 or something, to get the book, or equivalent to that, like 500 rupees, 800 rupees, something like that. And a printed book also that you can give to children for them to read. It comes also as a heavy bound copy, especially for gift, as a gift item. So today I just wanted to mention about my first book, Sanatana Hindu Dharma, basic on 108 pages. It's the smallest book that every child should read. Everything about Hindu religion in 108 pages. All my books, each book will contain the same material again and again, but expanded a little more. So that's why I had to saw everything. And you'll see the subjects. What is Sanatana Dharma? One supreme faith. What is the principle of Vedic Yajna? What's the path of bhakti? What are path of meditation? What's the book message of the books in Hindu Dharma? That's what it says, nothing more. So I just want to read 1 or 2 lines from these books. Basic cardinal doctrines of Sanatana Dharma as a preamble to the study of Hindu Dharma and its practice. This book deals with the basis of information given in brief statements and introduction to the new students. Does not give you the blind worship is there. That's the way it is said. Sanatana Dharma and its practices are guided by the teachings of Vedas, Agamas, and Dharma Shastra. You read, you understand, then you practice. It's given to us in various forms by informative writers. Hundreds of others have given explanation. It's a virtuous way of life, eternal righteousness. It is recognizing this one supreme that protects us all the time. It comes to you in many forms. Hindu scriptures are the most ancient and extensive religious writings in the world. They're called Shrutis or Vedas. There are Smritis that are remembered. The Shrutis consist of Vedas, Smritis are the Dharma Shastras, and the Bhagavad Gita. We have Hindu Puranas, Itihasas, Bhagavad Gita, they explain that. They are called Prasthanatraya, and based on this, your Advaita, Visishta, the Dvaita philosophy are written, and that's how we learn about it. So Hindus believe in one supreme reality, we all said. And oftentimes you hear the story from people saying the Hindus are idol worshippers. No, we are not idol worshippers. What we show that is icon or vigraha is a point for us to concentrate. For example, your computer screen is a point you to concentrate. You're not reading the computer screen. You're reading the text that comes through the computer screen. The same way, you look at the image, you get the message through that image. So we see the Saguna Brahman there of the Nirguna Brahman. So that is all it is. So read the Bhagavad Gita, you'll get all the information that you need. And all my books contain some slokas from Bhagavad Gita explaining low values. By the time you read 6 books, you have an essential understanding of Bhagavad Gita itself. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bunaktu, Sahaviryam Karabhavakai, Tejasvina Vadidamastu, Ma Vidvishavhai, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santi Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashit, Dukkha Bhagya Bhaved. May all become happy, may all be free from diseases, may all be there nothing but auspiciousness in everyone's fire. May no one undergo any pain or suffering. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all being around the world be well. That is my prayer for all. So, for an emptiness of the space, we see a formless God whom we cannot understand what it is. It has got all the forms and no shapes. So we ultimately realize that there's an om or onkar or sound from that space that gave you the form of a picture of an image for us to worship. You worship the flames of the lamp and you worship the shape. Then you worship form, various forms of God. That's the essence of Hindu religion that we talked about all the time. Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining me. I think I just taken 3 minutes extra that equal to the time that taken in the 1 hour lecture. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Balaji.
All of you for joining me in today's lecture. And be sure to join us also and tell your friends to join us next Sunday. We'll go to the second part of this explanation. I went through very fast because there's nothing much to explain. Or if I want to explain, there are 1,300 pages of my books to explain. I just took 6 pages out of it to talk today. It's not possible for me to talk everything in 1 hour. Thank you.
Yeah. So Balaji, I have just one question.
Yes, sir. Namaste.
Yeah, namaste. So we are looking forward to the whole series, and this will be very educational. I'm pretty sure,
Yes, sir.
we are very confident. But there is one issue that comes again and again, especially with the young generation growing
Yes,
up
sir.
in the US, and that is the question of no religion, or like there is this move in the mainstream where the young people are distancing themselves from religion. They are either calling them as an atheist, or they use this phrase called spiritual but not religious. So, if I may request you to address,
Yes, sir.
this aspect in your series, I'll really be grateful.
Yes, sir. Yeah, one simple line, as I already told, you cannot be spiritual without being religious. It's impossible. All the 4 paths I explained to you, they go together. If you want to be spiritual, you have to have some religion. You have to have some discipline. You have to have dharma. Without dharma, artha, kama does not work. You cannot be just spiritual. That is a wrong term used by the Abrahamic religion, spiritual ritual. They divided philosophy away from theology. We combine them together. In Hindu religion, even if you worship God 1 day a week, 1 day a month like this, that's good enough. The God is inside you. It is like your children after growing old, they're in different cities. They call you Mama, Papa, are you all right? Once a month, that's good enough. They are there. So there's no such thing as spiritual and not religious. That's wrong statement. More and more people are atheists. The reason being they are being taught, even in India, for 1,000 years of subjugation, they have been taught to believe in a God who is in a distant religion. No, when you think God is inside you, there's no atheism there, right there. So that's what we are trying to teach people. Even if you are not Hindu, get the teaching of the Hindu to believe in your religion. Even the Abrahamic religion, you think if a God is inside you, but if your God is somebody who's fight for you, you'll be fighting all the time. So that is the main thing that we have to go for. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
don't know if I understood your question properly or answered properly, but that's the way I understood. Thank you.
Yes, yes. No, you have addressed it. Second question, and again, I'm sure you will explain this in the series. As we see in the US today, not many second generation and beyond are actually going to temples on their own. Like even the people who build the temples, now we have like 2,000 plus temples in the US. They go with their parents, obviously, but when they grow up, go to, attend college, and after they have, they get married, get settled, and on their own, very few of them, if that is even there, are going to temples. So if you can address that in some way
Yes,
in the
sir.
series, that will be very
Sure, I will.
great.
Yeah, I will. Because the way, if you want to have a mango tree in your backyard, you have to look after the mango plant until it comes to 3 feet height. If you don't take care of it at that time, it's not going to grow a tree. So you have to teach the children when they are 10 years and 15 years and 20 years old, all about we are talking about today. Just this 1 hour a week, teach them something. Give them some storybook, ask them to read. That will give an impression in their mind. Once they get that impression, it'll work. That is the idea of teaching the children. It's very important for parents to learn because you all know what it is. This series of talk is for you to learn what to teach your children. If you teach this 10 days lesson to your children in their own language, they may speak a language other than English, or they may speak American English or British or Australian English, but teach them the way they will understand. They'll grow to be a big tree. So there's no point in saying that the tree, my mango tree is not going up, it's not giving me fruits. It'll give you fruits, provided you took care of them when they grew up. So that's all to it. We have to teach them. You have to learn to teach them. They may come to you with the temple, but they'll be going and playing football in the backyard, or sitting in the temple. When am I going to get my banana or mango?
Right.
They may not do the prayer with you. They have to understand what they are doing when they are inside the temple. That's important. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Shetty garu. Narayan Shetty garu. Lakshmi Narayan. Unmute. Unmute. I can't hear you. Unmute. No. It's okay. Well, he is unmuting. Narayan Debra is up. Yeah. No, I can't. No, you are not unmuted. You are.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so very much. We enjoyed our salutations to you. You are Parama Dayalu to making all this possible for the human mankind. And thank you. That's all I can tell you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay then. Narayan Debra is up next. Then Prabhu Naraminchi will come after that. I call people as I see the picture on my computer. Narayan, unmute. Prabhu Naraminchi, you also can unmute now itself. No, you can't. Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. It has been really eye-opener for many of them, and it really gives what's to come in the days ahead. I look forward to hearing all of them. Thank you so much for your effort.
Okay. Dr. Mukherjee. Dr. Mukherjee, unmute if you can. Then Dr. Kumar Billu. I see the name as I see here. You can unmute. Every one of you try to unmute before you talk and then mute after you finish talking. Yeah. Yes, sir. Billu sir. Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, loud. No, I can't hear you. Somewhere your mic is not working or the volume is not loud enough. Okay, I don't know. Mic is not working. Jyoti Bandobadya. You need to open up the video for me to ask you to talk. Chantosa. I'm calling each one by name.
Hi, Balaji, it's excellent. Learned a lot from your nice teaching of the subject, Hindu Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. It's a good thing for us to learn more and more so we can teach our children and grandchildren. This is very important. And it's a good introduction to Sanatana Dharma. And thank you very much, and expecting a lot more teachings from you. And thank you for your contribution in this field. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you know, this being the introduction and the next session also same way, there might be much questions on that because the questions will come from the third session. So I'm not going to keep you here too long on these things. If anybody else has got a question, unmute and talk. Otherwise, I'll let Ms. Puja Kumari tell us a closing remarks. Then we'll go from there. It's 10:15 now. Yeah. Can't hear you. Yeah.
No, unmute.
Balaji, just want to appreciate you taking a time and helping us understand the concepts here. My only thought, and perhaps in upcoming sessions, I'll look to learn. We seem to lack, and I think goes back to earlier questions around the second generation and so forth.
Yeah.
We seem to lack the intensity about learning our dharma, especially in a newer generation. How do we help instill that intensity that it's not a, hey, yeah, when you have a time, you can do it type of thing. So look to learn some of that in upcoming sessions.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who want to ask questions?
Yeah, I can hear you.
If there is no any question, let's conclude the session. Almost we are. Anyone wants to speak?
No, you've been silent.
No one?
Anyway, we'll try again. Lata.
Thank you. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation.
I don't know why the sound is not coming through.
Oh, is it not coming through?
You need to turn up your volume.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I don't think that the younger people lack intensity. I think they're very smart, intelligent, and eager to learn.
Yeah.
We have to make it relevant to their lives. And that's not difficult. Hinduism is so relevant to our lives. So we just have to present it in a way that is very relevant to their lives, especially college students with all the stress they face. We tell them that, this prayer and spiritual outlook will give them some peace inside. I think they will be able to accept it.
Yeah, that's the exactly way of saying the tamasika. You're not only, you don't want to learn, If you don't understand, then you blame somebody else.
Right.
So that's why I was explaining so much about tamasika bhakti. In tamasika, you can deny or you can just accept what is told. Puja Kumari sir. Bulia.
Puja Kumari.
So there is no any question. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Balaji, for the enlightening session. We are grateful for everyone's active participation. Looking forward to another engaging session with all of you next week. Thank you, everyone, for joining today.
Puja ji and Rajiv ji, please send the invite to all those who registered. Once again, let's say on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, and again on
Sure, we
Friday.
will send.
On Friday, so that they'll get it on time. Some of them they didn't get it on time, so probably they thought it's not happening. That's what's happening. Okay, I think we'll close it. We'll close it at this time, and thank you very much. There's nothing much to ask about. We'll close and see you all next Sunday.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
I'll try to close at 10:15. That way, people won't get bored.
Thank you, everyone. Namaste.